Sciutto, and I've been an actor for, well, a really long time.
Here's my number. Call me.
I've worked with some of the most famous people in Hollywood.
Anything unusual occur?
Define unusual. And taken on some roles I'd rather forget. Now my industry friends join me with their stories of faking it, making it, and taking it in Hollywood.
And now, here's Nellie.
Welcome to season 2 of 50 Moments, Faking It, Making It, and Taking It in Hollywood as a Working Actor. I'm Nellie Sciutto, and I am here to talk about my chapter 32 today, Desperate to be a Housewife. And my guest on the show today, my first guest, is my friend and colleague and partner in crime, Jill Bandemer, who's a reality casting person. We met working at E! Entertainment many years ago when reality TV first came out. Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Yes, and we met many years ago. Well, not too long ago, but many years ago.
Many years ago. What did we work on? We worked on everything.
We worked on everything. We're on a style network shows. We were working on fashion, makeovers. I had you on a makeover show. You were the stylist.
Yes.
You were the stylist, but absolutely. Worked on so many things.
We really have. And Jill, you're still working in reality TV. So what are you casting right now? What have you cast that you're most proud of?
Well, I'm still working in casting right now, like you said, and I'm doing game shows right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a game show called Funny You Should Ask. It's syndicated all around the country. I've done a lot of HGTV home renovation shows as well. Christine on the Coast was one of them. But I do a lot of game shows, especially game shows. I was doing makeover shows when I first met you, Nellie, for years, doing makeover shows.
Yeah,
and
just
loved it.
Well, you got me on a game show, which was wonderful. Yeah. I love being on the game show. And also I worked on HGTV with you. So we have quite a history. And, like my reality TV experience, as you know, like I kind of thought initially, wow, this is going to take over. Remember how it was like 20 years ago, Jill?
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, this is going to take over. How do I make myself still relevant in this world that's changing? And for me, it was hosting. For you, it was casting. But, as you know, I had my little foray into the Real Housewives of Dallas.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And it's interesting because, like, what were your thoughts? Like when you first, because I've never cast a show like that. I've never cast a show like Real Housewives of anything. I've been up for those jobs, but I've never done that, to be quite honest with you. You got to experience. So like, what did you think, like, as you were going through that?
Well, my initial response was, I had to interview Deandra Simmons, and somebody from CBS 11 asked me, because I cover all their entertainment, et cetera. They asked me to interview her, and they said, why don't you meet her for lunch? And to be honest, and she's my friend, so I say this, my initial reaction was, oh, this is going to be very uninteresting. And I'm not really into this form of reality TV. I don't really want to be a part of it. And I'll just do it. I'll just do the lunch. And I met Deandra and I was immediately impressed with her. She had started her own business. She had a family business she was running, started her own business called Hard Day, Good Night, was really kind of a dynamic personality, and we hit it off right away.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then you changed your perspective on that. Okay,
I changed my perspective, and she and I hatched this plan. She was like, you know what? We got to get you on the show. And immediately she got me on Real Housewives of Dallas as a friend. I did 6 episodes, and, I was nervous about it. I didn't know what to expect. I'm an actor. I've been an actor since I was 14 years old. And I'm used to scripted material. I'm not used to somebody behind the curtain, kind of like, like the Wizard of Oz. I felt like there was always like a producer behind the curtain coming out and like telling us what to say and telling us how to feel and what to do. And it's more scripted than people think, I guess is my point. But my first meeting was after meeting her for lunch in Highland Park Village, very Texasy. I was on one of the first episodes, and it was at this, it was a lingerie party. So we all had to wear like lingerie. Everybody there was in feathers and boas and feathered lingerie. They had a bed outside where people could lie on the bed and take pictures. And she wanted to pull me into the drama, right? The drama of the show, so that I would be on, that I would get, on camera time. And so she was telling me about this feud she had with Leanne. So Leanne and Deandra are known, enemies on the show. I don't think they are behind the scenes, but not in real life, but on the show they were enemies. And she was like, okay, oh my God, she goes, you're not going to be. So she pulls me into the drama, and again, I see the producer with the little earpiece, telling her what to say, et cetera. And she's like, Nellie, you're not going to believe this, what Leanne did to me. She was like, she snubbed me at something. And all I could think of to say was, oh my God, that's so crazy. And then she said something else like, and then this happened. I mean, can you believe that? And I said, oh my God, that's so crazy. And then she said something else. And I swear to God, Jill, all I could say was, that's so crazy. Because I didn't know what to say. I mean, I'm used to being scripted, and secondly, it wasn't that bad. What she was telling me, I was like, all she did was like, she was kind of mean to you at a party. Like, didn't we all go through this in high school?
Yeah.
So
that's so crazy.
I know. I said, that's so crazy so many times. And then the next party I did was her husband, Deandra's husband, is a war photographer. And so I went to a thing that he did. They were launching this party, and it was about all this mural that was downtown Dallas, beautiful mural honoring veterans, et cetera. And she tried to pull me into the same scene where it was like, can you believe it? This time it was Carrie Duber. Can you believe what she did to me? And I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. I was starting to feel kind of stupid, which I'm not, but I just didn't know what to say. And all of a sudden a producer rushed out and was like, get out of the way. And I realized that I had never felt that way before, sort of like an extra. Not that that's a bad thing. I just felt sort of pushed aside, and I wasn't sure how to handle it. And I didn't know how to find my way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've watched a couple of the episodes, especially of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and stuff like that, but they probably wanted you to get your bitch on, basically.
Yes.
Like bringing that bitch behavior out.
Yeah. And all I could say was, that's so crazy. Come on. Come on.
You said, you so crazy. You're so crazy. It's just like you were just being yourself, though. You were just being yourself, but they wanted you to give more and be like, oh, I can't believe she said that. You know what I mean?
Well, and you steer people. Like, your shows are different. They're not mean girl shows. But when you cast people for HGTV, for game shows, et cetera, you do have like a missive in mind. You're like, I need this from you, right? And you've told me some funny stories. Like, you will have people on and you try to tell them what they're supposed to do and they don't quite get it, right? Tell us some of your funny stories.
Yeah. It's funny because for shows like this, you do need to have energy and you need to have personality and beyond. And my all-time pet peeve is when somebody says they're lower energy and they say they want to be actors in this business and stuff. And they're like, oh, I'll have energy when the camera's on. And I'm like, I'm not going to cast you. You have no energy. If my energy is above yours, no. So, I mean, yeah, I've had some situations where I have had some people, when I was doing a makeover show years ago, the mother of the daughter, we like to have family figures and stuff like that. And the mother of the daughter we were making over, like, she was fine. She was cordial and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill me for casting her. I'm not kidding. This is the one only experience that's ever happened. The minute the camera came on, she was like, bing. Okay, da 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 da. She was like perfect. Like I've never, and doesn't do any acting or anything, but she was just like, the minute the camera came on,
she actually turned on. Yeah.
Some people pull, and you know what I'm referring to when I say this. Some people, which is so, oh my God, it's so heartbreaking and hard for me, is they get on camera and they pull a Cindy Brady, and all of a sudden they're just like they're da 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 da, and then they're quiet. When you get on camera, I'm like, oh, keep talking. I mean, the thing is, like with you, and you're a talker and stuff. And maybe in that, like if you just kept talking or something like that, I don't know. But I mean, you're also not like that mean, you're not a bitchy person, you know?
No. And that's the thing. And the funny part was eventually like Mama D, Deandra's mom, and Mama D like hatched a plan to get me on the show, to audition for the show. And I'd already done 6 episodes as a friend. And by the way, I have to say this, as much as I kind of laugh about it, and I think that it wasn't really my venue. It really wasn't. And I understand that now. I met the best people on the show and I'm still friends with them. Like when I have a party, I invite all of them. They were so fun and fabulous and up for a good time. And remember, we're like hanging around at parties for like 8 hours shooting and they made it so fun and interesting. But I thought about it. And while I wasn't really into that form of reality TV, I was more into what you and I have done in the past. I thought, hey, I could sell my book. And I thought about people like I don't know, Bethany Frankel, everybody, I go out to dinner with guys and they're ordering a skinny margarita. This woman has made a success of herself and it happened on reality TV. So I thought, I really want this. All of a sudden I really wanted it. And the more I wanted it, the more it evaded me. So for the interview, they come to your house and, they want to see your closet. They want to meet your family. They want to see everything about you. They want to see if your house looks like a set, and mine does actually, because I'm a OCD person and everything looks like a set at all times. But they wanted to see all of that. And I remember I went to get my hair and makeup done and I was like, listen, I want you to question yourself as a makeup artist after this. I want you to throw so much makeup on my face and so many extensions in my hair. I want to look like a blow-up doll. And I think, I was like, I want to look like them because let's face it, the women on the Real Housewives, franchise are beautiful women, but they are exaggerated and the makeup and the surgery, et cetera, is very, evident. So I wanted to look like them. So I did my best. I tried my best. I auditioned. And of course they told me, you are a shoo-in. We love you. You're from Park Avenue, New York City. You're an actor. You have all these real stories. We would love to have you on the show. We're so excited. They told Mama D and Deandra that. And then I heard nothing but crickets. And I never heard from them again. And I was devastated because I didn't realize how desperate to be a housewife I was.
Oh, you were desperate.
I was. And I'm saying that because I entered it with that lunch with Deandra. I was like, yeah, whatever. So it just goes to show we all just want to be, achieve our goals. And, we all want to be a part of something. And, rejection's a part of life. Right, Jill?
It's true. And it does seem like, once you get a taste of it, like with the reality TV, it's almost like a competition. Like you're like, no, I want it. Like when you were like, yeah, I don't think I want this. Then you wanted it, Absolutely. But it may not be too late, it may not be too late,
It's too late. It's too late. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I think it made a funny story. It's chapter 32 in my book and I'm very proud of it. And I like to be very earnest in my book. I don't like to say things like, oh, I didn't want it. Cause I did want it and I didn't get it. And that's okay.
Well, in my eyes, you're a Real Housewife of Dallas.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So you're the fun side. You're not, you're not knocking down tables. You're not pulling out hair weaves and things like that.
No, I'm not. I just can't. I can't do it.
That's not
probably
you.
Too nice. And actually, the feedback I got from Dallas Society, who I'm still friends with all these people after the Real Housewives, was you're not glamorous enough, which made me laugh because I always heard with acting that I was too glamorous and I wasn't glamorous enough, but I get it. I was not. I was not. I didn't have hair like Rapunzel down to my ass. I didn't have that. I get it. I get it. And that's okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm really surprised by that. I'm really, really surprised by that.
Okay, so I have to ask you a question because you're still casting reality and you're doing like 4 shows right now. What's one of your funniest stories of casting people?
Oh gosh.
Like where somebody was really unprepared. Like they told you they were so prepared and like they were like washing their dog in the background, like something crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was casting a game show and we were like casting it and filming it at the same time. And it was pairs. So it was a mother and a daughter. And they called me, like this one mother, like they were like, oh my God, we completely forgot about it. So I called them. I was like, I can take you right now. It'll be 5 minutes. And she's like, we're cooking. I get on and the woman has like a shower cap on her head. And I was just like, oh, I had no idea what was going on and not really prepared, but I need to get them on the show. And she's like, oh, I'm cooking right now. She was cooking dinner. I'm not kidding you. I did this whole interview. She had the shower cap on her head because she was cooking. She didn't want the smell to get in her hair. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. I'm like, okay. She takes the shower cap off, right? She has normal looking hair and stuff. But in the midst of doing this game show and saying like, we're actually playing the actual game. And she's like, wait, I have to turn my eggs. Wait. And she's like cooking. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. But this is what we do. And they got on the show too. Like, it was just like, we're doing this interview and in the midst of everything, they're doing a zillion one things. And, and people a lot of times show up, they're not prepared, but we need them. So it's just like, okay, get your look on and stuff and go.
That reminds me of people on the airplane. Like, you're on the airplane sitting next to somebody and somebody is like having a full on loud conversation with somebody. And they think you want to hear it. It's the same idea, sort of like not realizing the circumstances, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I always say this with my contestants or whatever I'm casting them. I'm like, please do not look like you rolled out of bed or you just came from the gym. That people are a wreck and their hair's a wreck and they're wearing a t-shirt or a sloppy t-shirt. Or I'm not kidding you. I have guys where I've said like, oh, can you stand up? And, and I just want to see a full body shot or whatever. And the guy's like, I'm not wearing any pants. And I'm like, oh, shorts is fine. That's okay. No, I'm not wearing any shorts either.
You're like, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this to TMI?
Go put your pants on though. Because I think if he had gotten up right as he is. So I was like, I'm even turning my head and I'm just like, oh my God. One guy was sitting with a towel. He literally, and some guys men have gotten on without a shirt on. I'm like, go put your shirt on. This is not, I'm not casting,
not casting for Playgirl. We're not casting for Playgirl right now.
No, we're not casting that, but you're just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. You just never know what you're going to get in casting.
No, you do not. You do not. And especially in reality, because you get newbies or people who are not experienced. But by the way, Jill is going to be on the show all the time going forward. Jill, I'm about to interview somebody who's one of the stars of Love on the Spectrum.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that show.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Jill, we'll catch you next time. Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Coming up next, we have Abbey Romeo and her mother, Christine Romeo. Abbey is one of the stars of Love on the Spectrum. And here's a clip of her meeting her love.
What's your favorite animal?
The African lion.
Me too! You know they made a live-action version of The Lion King with Beyonce.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, she has an amazing voice.
I've been to Africa since winter break.
You have?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go too. Going to Africa costs a lot of money. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
My mom can't afford it just yet. She doesn't have enough money.
I know, but she's working on it.
If we're a billionaire.
And here are Abbey Romeo and her mother, Christine Romeo. And Abbey is actually one of the stars of Love on the Spectrum. Abbey and Christine, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
It's so exciting. Honestly, I love the show. I was totally drawn in by it. What was it like filming the show? How did you feel about it?
I felt like that, the first day, one of the days, I was sitting in a chair for Love on the Spectrum and it was really hard to focus. So I wanted to be moving so it would be easier for me to focus.
I feel the same way because I'm feeling a little like stuck in my seat right now. So I understand that. What other feelings did you have? Like, this was a big new experience for you.
When I first met David, I felt like, speaking of, I'm going to explain this.
Yes.
A therapy called Nurture and Nature, and I'm learning something called idioms. And I'm going to give you 2 examples of 2 idioms, how I felt.
How you felt when you met David?
When I met David.
Yes. Who you had never met till you were on camera, correct?
I had cold feet and I felt like shitting my pants.
Well, that's very honest. And I like that. Like, how did you feel after you met him? What was like, tell us about that experience.
After you met David.
After I met David, I felt like Cinderella at the ball.
Really?
Wow.
I love that. I love that because, it was interesting to hear the questions you guys ask each other and how you get to know each other. Like, what was your favorite question that he asked you?
What was your favorite question?
My favorite question that he asked me was,
Yes.
What did you talk about? The very first thing where he told you he'd been someplace.
Africa.
Yes.
That was so cool. And
Yeah.
he said, you want to go with me someday.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
It's super cool. And I give you credit for like being so brave to meet somebody you've never met before on camera. You know, what was your favorite part about filming and what was your least favorite part about filming?
My favorite part about filming is that on my second date with David, we went to a place called Lions, Tigers, and Bears. And on that date, they gave me a long stick with a piece of meat at the end. And I grabbed it, put it in the lion's cage, and the lion ate it off the stick.
Well, that would be fun to me too. I like that. It's almost like Tiger King. I don't know. Tiger King meets a chef show.
Actually, you're right. It was a little bit like that. And the show set that up for her. I'm not sure she would have been able to do that if it was just us visiting that place.
Yeah.
So that was the show.
Of course, I would imagine. Yeah. And what was your favorite part about filming? How did you feel, Abby, about sort of like having your life opened up to people? Were you okay with that?
It's hard to explain.
Do you want me to help you?
Is it like a double-edged sword? Did you have
double-edged swords? I didn't really care a bit.
Parts of you didn't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then parts of you were felt a little shy.
I felt a little shy,
but
all that.
But the biggest part was when they did the interview for each character, and Abby had to sit in her room for like 2 or 3 hours while he asked her somewhat similar questions. You know, sometimes when people, like at the end of a sports game, the announcers will always say, "How'd you feel about that?" And do you feel they're sort of almost hard questions to answer?
Yes, they are, especially on the spot.
On the spot, and they're kind of similar too.
Yes.
So she was sitting there, and you kind of zoned out.
I kind of zoned out too.
How'd you feel that first time when you were sitting in that chair?
Completely zoned out. It was really hard to focus.
Right. And then the director came back and he said, "I'd like to have Abby just walk around and show me your house and just, see what she's up to." And it was a completely different experience.
Okay.
Her.
Well, Abby, I just talked about how when I was auditioning for The Real Housewives of Dallas, how I felt about it. And I felt the same way. Like I was a friend on the show and they would like pull me aside and try to create drama. And they'd be like, "How do you feel about this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It was crazy." And then I'd be like, "I don't know, it's crazy." I couldn't think of another thing to say except it was so crazy because I just didn't, I kind of froze because I felt on the spot, kind of like you did.
Yes. Yeah. That's, I think, how I felt. I think she felt, would you say you felt sort of put on the spot?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got up and moved around and you had some more energy and then that was good.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell her the story? There was one story Abby was going to tell you, which was about when we were shooting a very romantic scene at Christmas time where Abby and David were making
a gingerbread house.
Yes.
And we were making gingerbread house for Christmas 2 years ago. And all of a sudden I was trying to make mine and then the fell apart and the frosting was dripping down. It looked like a monster gingerbread Halloween house. They were trying to be all romantic and Abby's house literally fell into it itself. It was all dripping down. It looked like a house where there had been a murder.
Okay, well,
where a homeless person would live. Maybe. Yeah,
okay, but that's hilarious. But I have to tell you, I would have cheated and I would have brought in an already made gingerbread house. And I would have been like, I would have pretend I was painting on it and be like, "Oh, I just made this."
It really is unscripted. This show was very, very unscripted in a real way. So that's a whole other aspect to it.
So here's a question. Was there somebody like, did you have an earpiece and they were sort of steering you or did they really just let it fly?
They let it fly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was terrified when she signed up to do this because you have no idea how they're going to edit it together. You have no idea what Miss Abigail might say because she calls it like it is.
Yes.
So there was that fear. And then there's the dynamic of meeting a new person, which is a difficult thing for a person on the spectrum in many cases. A new person, the Q&A, the questions, as you can see in the show, small talk, they hit it off and had so many things in common. It was kind of a miracle.
No, it is a miracle, but it is hard to be like under a microscope like that when you're meeting somebody, right? Like, right. I mean, Christine, you and I are both actors. We know what it's like, but it's really, if I think about my son being thrown into something like that and like, "Here you go. We're just going to ask you questions and you need to answer this and you're meeting a new person." It's a lot of pressure.
It can be a lot of pressure. And when someone has any kind of neurodiversity, it's even more to put on the plate. And they really did not script anything other than "we're going to go here today."
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. I mean, the funny thing was I could hear the first date, but I was not allowed any. I had to drop her off. It was kind of far away.
Break.
You want a break? Ask Nellie.
Can I take a break?
You can take a break.
Yeah, thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Come back when you feel like it. Okay. But it was interesting because I'm going to move over here to the center.
Yeah.
It was interesting because it really was completely unscripted. So you really didn't know what was going to happen. And again, with a person with autism, in many cases, especially in Abby's case, there's a free association of thought.
Yes.
And you can't control what was said. So there was a bunch of things that was said that I wanted to share with you because
Yes, please do.
the moments where I thought on other sets, you could not necessarily get away with this, or it's something the way that she said it that was so funny. But they let the cameras roll. I mean, it's very small. There's only 3 people. There's just like a sound guy, you're mic'd, there's a camera, and then there's another camera. And you're just kind of in your house doing your thing or whatever. And you do get used to them not being around after a while, which is part of what you have to get used to in these kinds of really super unscripted shows. But she's sitting there and the cameras are rolling and she's just sitting at the table. It might have been like right here even. And she's just sitting there. And then finally she turns to the director and says, there's a lady in Japan that's 116 years old. Out of nowhere. And he says, oh, that's fascinating. Where'd you learn that? She said, I saw it on Google and there's a lady in New Jersey that's 106. He said, oh, wow. Pause. But my mom's going to die when she's 80.
Oh my God.
And he said, why would you say such a thing? She said, because she wants the insurance money.
Oh my God.
Because I have term life insurance. And once I said, if I die by 80, you're going to get this pile of cash.
Oh my
If we make it past 80, we lose it all.
So that's all she remembers. But let me say something. I think it's very respectful that they do a smaller set like that, because that was not the case on The Real Housewives. It was like a zoo, and there was so much going on, and there were so many people telling you what to do, and don't do this, and get out of the way, and don't stand there. And, I think they should be respectful, right? Of just like Abby wanting to take a break. Let her take a break.
That's the other thing. I mean, it was actually quite extraordinary for the director to come back after that first interview.
Yeah.
So they came to the house, they did the interview, and I could hear it because I was in the house, but I couldn't see what they were doing. And it was painful. Abby said to the director, this is boring. Can we be done now? She'd sat down for 5 minutes. And because there's no filter.
Yeah.
So if you're an actor, you're someone in the business, and you get to hear someone get a hall pass to speak their underlying thoughts.
We all wish we had that.
I know.
Seriously.
Most people don't get that hall pass, but on this show with these people, she could say and do anything and it was all okay, which I loved. I mean, they were so great. And the director, it's not like he's an autism expert, Keon. He's just a nice guy, pretty flexible, and he has really good instincts. And he really was able to get the best out of Abby by coming back, letting her move, letting her lead, which was great. But it was really funny in that first interview, which was the first day, which is always the nervous day. She's literally like literally.
Which is how we all want to express ourselves.
I don't know. It just went on. And I'm in the other going, mistake. We shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have done this. And it was hilarious.
So that's the question. How did you, so you're telling me how you felt about it. Basically, did you have mixed feelings about it when you first heard about it? Like, did you guys apply? Did they reach out to you?
I'll be 100% honest with you. So they found Abby and a bunch of other people they were interested during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Abby is in a performing arts class for people on the spectrum. She's always been on camera. She's always been performing. She loves to sing. But we do it for purpose, meaning, fun, and therapeutic strategy. There's no other agenda for our using the arts. It's to expand her sense of self and have a great time. There's no other motive here.
You're a great stage mom. You're actually a really good stage mom because you're not a stage mom. And I think that's good because you've been...
I've always used it as a strategy, and that's a whole other Zoom call I could do about arts and how it helps people with autism and neurodiverse people have a safe place to work on their skills, communication skills. But it was kind of funny because they knew these people from some show. You didn't know what the show was. They didn't mention Netflix, just some guy doing a documentary. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So I say, I hear about it. Apparently they went to this program. I'm not there. She's there. And my son would bring her home. So I wasn't there. And they come in and they meet all of the kids, and everyone's flocking around the director, and they're all kind of, talking to him and what's your show and da 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 da. And Abby's the class is over, and Abby just goes, bye, see ya. And she walks out. She doesn't say a word. They're like, wait, can we have your name? She's like, no, I gotta go. Bye.
Okay, that's my inner dialogue at all times. Like literally, my inner dialogue is Abby.
So she just walks out and leaves. They contact us through Zoom. We did 3 or 4 Zoom calls, and even on the Zoom calls, these were some of the times. Even right now, as you can see, she doesn't care that she's on camera.
Yeah.
She's going to be herself. So she's doing a Zoom interview. This is before she's actually asked to do the show, and she's talking to Keon about love and relationships. And she's like, "Yeah, I just want to meet a boy who's da 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 da." And I'm standing off camera, kind of near her, because I'm kind of want to make sure it's cool. Who are these people? And she just in the middle of it, she's like, "Yeah, I want to meet a boy." Da da da. Stop. Pause. Looks at me, Mom. How come when you're in traffic, you call everyone an asshole? Here's me off camera. Abby, focus, pay attention. That's not the question. The question's about dating. Please try to pay attention.
I mean, I was about to ask you, do you have any funny stories, but you've already told like 5. So
I was just like, okay. She's like, okay, get back to it. But it's all that kind of stuff with her. And initially, once he said Netflix, and maybe he hadn't said Netflix yet, but he said it was a show about dating. And I watched the first season of Love on the Spectrum Australia, because there's Australia season 1 and 2. So the US one is Love on the Spectrum US. That's our show. And after I watched the Australian season 1, I loved it. I laughed. I cried. But I thought it was a little too much skill level, interview, everything for her. And I also was concerned because they had a lot of people that maybe were questioning their sexuality, or maybe they weren't sure. And those are concepts that are kind of above Abby. That's a way more high concept for her.
yes.
I felt like, is it Love on the Spectrum and you're trying to discover your own sexuality with people with autism, or is it just autism in the real world? And I sort of passed. I said, I'm not sure. I don't think Abby's what you're looking for, because all of these people in season 1 are traveling Europe. They have jobs. They drive cars. They're what I formally would call people with Asperger's, which is a very different skill set.
Yes, it is.
Asperger people are geniuses that change the world. Let's face it.
I agree. I agree. And by the way, I think Abby's such an inspiration.
That's why I try to have a different understanding of the Asperger population, because they have been enveloped into the autism diagnosis in 2013 that happened through the American Psychiatric Association. So all the people that identified as Asperger's, they didn't like that word. And they enveloped it back into the spectrum. And now you have those people on the same trajectory as Abby, and they're 2 very different things.
Yeah.
So I felt that the expectation was more Asperger's, and I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable or put on, look, this is so unstructured. So the director very, very, kindly and informatively said, this is a show about stories. And we want to show more diversity of the spectrum. And when he said that line to me, I said, I am a hypocrite if I don't try this, because she's perfectly autistic. She is funny and great and struggles with communication. And I find her with a joyous energy most of the time, even when she's in her own struggle. So I thought it would be wrong of me to not share that. And that's when we said, okay, we'll try this and see.
I agree with you. And I think she's a real inspiration for other kids out there. And the show is an inspiration, because people should see that. And you can find love, and you can find for every pot, there's a lid, as our mothers used to tell us. And I think that's it's very important. And I know you guys have gotten to travel around the world with this, correct?
Yes, we've done a lot of different things, and we're going to continue to be with the show as long as they want to do it with us. And it has been life-changing. I will tell you that. I mean, here's the one thing. You sign up to do a reality show. It's about autism. You're going to be sort of exposing your personal life. But how about this? She really did meet the perfect guy.
Yeah, I know.
And he has the perfect family.
Yeah.
They have changed my life too. I mean, I'm a single mother. I've been a single mother most of Abby's life. And her brother Benjamin, and they are the loveliest, kindest, most generous family that you could imagine. And I feel so grateful because part of all parents' worry is, how will they be when I'm gone? Will they be safe? What will that family be like? Will that, all the questions. And certainly with autism, it complicates that. So I'm just so grateful that they are came into our lives. And he's one of triplets, by the way.
Well, I have to say that I think that you've done a great job of being a mom of somebody who's on the spectrum, because what you have to do is embrace all of their wonderful, amazing strengths and the gifts that they have.
Yes. And then you have to also monitor deficits. You can't be afraid to say, oh, she is hung up on time. She is terrified if we're 1 minute late. She's, that's an autism thing. There's certain things. And you say, I've got to help her work through that. I have to figure out ways to stretch time and give her coping skills to deal with when things don't go exactly as planned, when cars are late, when you're stuck in traffic. There's all these things that have to do with autism that I see parents as the bridge, all parents to all kids. And kids with autism have more needs with and navigating the world than maybe a typical kid. But trust me, I built many bridges for her brother as well.
Yeah. Abby, are you coming back in? I have a question for you.
One last thing.
Okay, why don't you come back?
To end on this, I have to say, I heard that you do a great imitation of Keon.
Oh, Keon.
Hello,
Keon.
mate.
Yes. Hello, mate. Is that? He's the Australian director, correct?
Let us all say the pledge. I am a nice shark, not a mindless eating machine. If I am to change this image, I must first change myself. Fish are friends, not food. They said that on the ride at Disneyland.
Yes. And Abby does one other great impression that I think is funny. This is
And then I want to tell you something, Abby, before you leave.
She's good with voices, but you do your grandmother, right?
Why don't you all just be quiet so we can go grab some food for supper?
She's from Boston.
It's a Boston accent.
But Abby, I want to thank you both for being on the show. I just want to say, Abby, you're a real inspiration to other kids out there. And I'm so happy you're finding yourself through the show. It really says a lot about this show, as opposed to some other reality TV shows. I feel like you're just doing a wonderful job. So thank you for your inspiration.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, no, we love you, Nellie. Thank you for all that you do and making us laugh and everything. We just are thankful to be here.
Thank you, beautiful ladies. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. So guys, thank you for tuning in to the first episode of season 2 of 50 Moments, Faking It, Making It, and Taking It in Hollywood as a Working Actor. Please go to Amazon and buy my book of the same title. And we've got many more episodes coming up for you. So stay tuned. For information on my book, check out nelliesblog.com, and I'm on all social media platforms. Just search for Nellie Sciutto.